Hello everyone, welcome to Vijay Mohan IAS Academy.
So, this is Andhra Pradesh Budget 2021-2022 lecture series, and this is the second, that is part 2 of the Andhra Pradesh Budget 2021-2022 lecture. In part 1 of our lecture, I had gone through about the introduction part of the budget and sustainable development goals, the importance of sustainable development goals in the budget, and third, agriculture and horticulture related issues of the budget. Today in the part 2 of this lecture series, we will be discussing some of the remaining schemes or remaining financial allocations of the sectors. So without any further delay, let's move forward. First, we will see about animal husbandry, dairy development and fisheries. Before going further, you have to remember that this animal husbandry, dairy development and fisheries is an important sector as far as AP is concerned, because many of the farmers in Andhra Pradesh are small and marginal farmers, and many of them are dependent on rain-fed agriculture. So, this animal husbandry, dairy development and fisheries will provide an alternate income to these farmers, and it will also provide nutritional supplement to the rural population, and it will also provide a scope for women empowerment by providing remunerative income to these women farmers. So the animal husbandry, dairy development and fisheries is an important sector in the AP economy, and there is a possibility and every time, and there are many occasions in which many questions in group 1 prelims, group 2 and group 1 mains questions were directly asked from this sector. So first point is that drawing an inspirational lessons from the White Revolution. This White Revolution is nothing but related to the improvement of production and productivity of milk. So drawing an inspirational lessons from the White Revolution, which is spearheaded by Dr. Verghese Kurian through Amul, the government has initiated Government of AP Amul project. How? By entering into an memorandum of understanding with the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. For what purpose? For revival of milk cooperatives and to strengthen the dairy sector in the state. This is an important program. So what is the objective of the program? There are three main objectives. First one is the socio-economic upliftment of milk producers in Andhra Pradesh with special focus on economic empowerment of women. Second objective is providing remunerative prices to milk producers. And third objective is to provide an availability of quality milk and milk products at value for money to consumers. So in a way, this program is targeting both producers and consumers. So it is a comprehensive program. It is targeting both producers, milk producers and end consumers, and it is also providing for remunerative prices for women farmers. Now the target is to cover 27 lakh women farmers. This number is important, and to procure 2 crore liters of milk per day. These two numbers are important. Now the women farmers will be organized into Mahila Dairy Sahakara Sanghalu. How many? 9,899 Mahila Dairy Sahakara Sanghalu, and provided with buildings consisting of AMCUs and BMCUs. AMCU is nothing but automatic milk collection units, and BMCU is nothing but bulk milk cooling units. For what purpose? To ensure quality and transparency, leading to remunerative price and economic growth. Here you have to see the milk. This program is being collected to providing remunerative price or income to the farmers, thereby inducing or thereby supporting the economic growth. So this is important program. The revolution has already commenced in 700 villages, and women milk produce farmers are benefiting by additional income of how much? Rupees 5 to 17 per liter of milk. I have tried to provide some additional information about this program, Government of AP Amul project. The Andhra Pradesh state government embarked on this project by signing a memorandum of understanding with Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation on 21st July 2020. You have to remember this date. And the project envisages strengthening of the dairy sector, one point, besides economic empowerment of women from rural areas by providing them recurring income resource and sustainable livelihood. So all this program is achieving mainly towards the sustainable livelihood. In addition, based on the choice given by the Cheyuta beneficiaries, 4.69 lakh women had opted for investing their money in the dairy sector. So in a way, it is providing an investment opportunity to the women at the local level. This is very important. And under the project, these beneficiaries will be given livestock units of cows and buffaloes in 3 phases at a cost of rupees 6,551 crore. So within 10 days of milk collection, the amount would be directly credited into the farmers' accounts. So in a way, it is nothing but direct benefit transfer, and it is removing middlemen between women farmers and the government. So because of this, there is an improved efficiency, transparency in disbursement of income, to the women farmers. Next scheme, Jagananna Jeevakranti. The government launched Jagananna Jeevakranti scheme for distribution of 2,49,151 sheep or goat units across the state with an expenditure of how much? 1,869 crore. The beneficiaries of the scheme will be provided financial assistance of rupees 75,000 towards what purposes? Procurement, transport and insurance premium of livestock under Cheyuta program. So this program is related to livestock support program, Jagananna Jeevakranti. You have to remember this. And one more program is YSR Pashunashta Parihara Pathikam. This is nothing but a livestock loss compensation program, and it is given in 3, and it is divided into 3 aspects. And the compensation is rupees 30,000 for improved and indigenous breed, and 15,000 rupees for nondescript breed of cattle or buffaloes, and rupees 6,000 for sheep or goat is provided to the farmers. So in these 3 categories it is being provided, and the allocation for this scheme is rupees 50 crore in 2021-22 for livestock compensation fund. This data you have to remember. Now we will be moving to the important sector as far as AP economy is concerned, that is fisheries. In recent decades, especially in the last decade, AP has performed exceptionally well in fisheries sector. In fact, as far as fisheries sector is concerned, AP stands first in many aspects of the fisheries sector. This fisheries sector again is providing remunerative income, reducing poverty levels, providing livelihood, providing nutritional support to the vulnerable families. So this is a very important sector as far as AP economy is concerned. So our state stands first in total fish production in the country with 46.23 lakh metric tons during 2020-21. The state is having 29.40% share in the country's fish production. It is more than 1/4 of the total fish production of the country. And AP state is producing more than 5.12 lakh metric tons. That is how much? 68.5% of cultured prawns in the country. The seafood exports value from the state has reached 18,846 crore. That is totally 40.4% share of the total Indian exports, seafood exports. And what is the value of total seafood exports from the country? 46,663 crore from the country. Among this 46,663, nearly 18,460 crore, 80,846 crore is being generated from Andhra Pradesh state. And the sector is providing livelihood to 26.50 lakh population. This is a whopping numbers. This is a very heavy numbers, that is 26.50 lakh population. And government is implementing one scheme, that is YSR Matsya Bharosa scheme, for the welfare of the fishermen. And in this scheme, there are different components like providing compensation at the time of loss of life, and providing diesel subsidy to the farmers, and providing infrastructure, etc. Now we will see, since June 2019, the government has provided enhanced fishing ban period relief of rupees 332 crore to 1,19,875 beneficiaries. So as part of the YSR Matsya Bharosa scheme, the government is providing fishing ban period relief. So why fishing ban period relief is required? Because in order to replenish the fishing or fish population in tanks, rivers, etc., the government announces fishing ban for some days of a year. And at this time or at this period, the fishermen will have the danger of losing income and employment. So in order to support the farmers, or in order to support the fishermen during this fishing ban period, government is providing relief. And how much relief it is being provided? 332 crore since June 2019 to 1,19,875 beneficiaries. Now 48.17 crore of subsidy on diesel oil to 19,796 beneficiaries is being provided. And enhanced ex gratia of 6.7 crore to 67 deceased fishermen families is also being provided. Now another important aspect is power tariff to aquaculture fishermen farmers or aquaculture farmers. Power tariff has been reduced for 53,550 aqua farmers from earlier rupees 3.86 to rupees 1.50 per unit, resulting in financial assistance of nearly 1,560 crore. Now next point is to promote the better livelihood opportunities to coastal fisheries and minimize migration. The development of 8 fishing harbors has been taken up in 2 phases. So you have to remember these numbers. There may be a possibility that they might be directly asked in group 2. So the government is planned to develop 8 fishing harbors in 2 phases. Under the first phase, construction of 4 fishing harbors with an estimated cost of 1,510 crore has started at Juvaladinna in Nellore district. Please remember these names. Uppada in East Godavari district, Nijampatnam in Guntur district, and Machilipatnam in Krishna district. In the second phase, remaining 4 fishing harbors will come up at Bodagatlapalem in Srikakulam district, Pudimadaka in Visakhapatnam district, Biyaputippa in West Godavari district, and Kottapatnam in Prakasam district at the cost of 1,365.35 crore. With these measures, what government wants to achieve? The government wants to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 14. And what is the Sustainable Development Goal 14? Conserve and sustainably use oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. And government is proposing an allocation of 329.48 crore for the fisheries sector in 2021-22. So overall, with the allocations of agriculture and allied sectors, the government wants to achieve following 4 sustainable development goals. What are those? Sustainable Development Goal 1, end poverty in all its formats. Sustainable Development Goal 2, achieve zero hunger. And Sustainable Development Goal 8, promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. And lastly, Sustainable Development Goal 10, that is reducing inequalities. So with the allocations made to the agriculture and allied sectors, government wants to achieve these 4 sustainable development goals. Now I have tried to provide some additional information related to YSR Matsya Bharosa. Now under YSR Matsya Bharosa scheme, relief is being provided to marine fishermen families during the fishing ban period. The government enhanced the relief period, which was earlier it is used to be rupees 4,000. Now it has enhanced it to rupees 10,000. An amount of 109.23 crore was spent to benefit 1,09,231 fishermen families, and the government enhanced the diesel oil subsidy to fishing boats from rupees 6.03 to rupees 9 per litre to benefit how many boats? 17,504 boats. Such subsidy is transferred at source front end through smart cards. It is also a direct benefit transfer scheme, and it will reduce the corruption levels and it will improve the efficiency of the implementation of the scheme. and all the registered mechanized and motorized crafts are made eligible to avail diesel oil subsidy irrespective of registration date, without any registration date, barring registration date, or without any regard for the registration date. All the mechanized and motorized crafts are being made eligible. The government enhanced the financial benefit to deceased fishermen while fishing to the tune of 10 lakhs from the earlier 5 lakhs. So the government enhanced the financial benefit for the deceased fishermen families while he was deceased during the fishing from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Now, to utilize the long coastline of 974 kilometers, you have to remember this. AP is having second longest coastline in India. So 975 kilometers of coastline. Construction of fishing jetties. To utilize the longest coastline of 974 kilometers, construction of fishing jetties and fish landing centers are planned. For this, an amount of 100 crores was being allocated during 2020-2021. Now, next point is power tariff concession, which was provided to aquaculture. It has been reduced from 3.86 rupees per unit to 1.50 unit, and it is going to benefit 54,452 aqua farmers. Another interesting thing, or another important thing as far as fisheries and aquaculture is concerned, establishing integrated aquaculture labs. This aquaculture labs, it is being coming in 35 locations. There is 27 new labs and 8 departmental labs, and these are being located in 9 coastal districts. And what is the purpose of these integrated aquaculture labs? They will provide aquaculture inputs, testing and disease diagnostic facilities to farmers. Because of these integrated aquacultural labs, there is a possibility that the production and productivity of the fisheries will improve. And second point is that the technical know-how on fisheries and aquaculture will be provided to the farmers, fisher farmers at the local level. This is nothing but an extension service. This is nothing but an extension services in fisheries sectors being provided to local fisher farmers. Now, based on the above discussion related to animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries sector, I have framed a question, a mains practice question for group 1 mains. Delineate the present status of fisheries and aquaculture in the state. Explain the reasons for the stellar performance of the fisheries and aquaculture sector in the state. You have to write it in 200 words, and this is a good question to practice mains answer writing. Just try to write the answer for this question. Now we'll move to public distribution system. Our government launched the path-breaking program of delivering essential commodities at the doorstep of priority households under the PDS through 9,260 mobile dispensing units MDUs on 21st January 2021. You have to remember this date. There is a possibility that they might be directly asked. And as far as this program is concerned, it is going to benefit vulnerable population like senior citizens, disabled or differently abled people, or persons who are ailing with diseases. Because of this door delivery of the essential commodities, it will save time and effort of the people. So in a way, and it will also provide employment opportunities to the youth. So this program is targeting multiple stakeholders. We will see how the program benefits the daily wage workers, senior citizens, differently abled people by saving their time and effort in getting them allotted ration from fair price shops every month. So the mobile dispensing units were distributed to the unemployed, SC, ST, BC, economically backward classes and minority youth under a self-employment scheme with 90% government subsidy. So because of this, there will be an increase in employment opportunities in both rural and urban areas. So it is targeting the unemployed youth also, so that they will provide some benefit or some income to the unemployed youth. So door delivery of rations is attaining sustainable development goal 12, that is sustainable consumption and production patterns, as it reduces food loss along the supply chain. So it is being targeted for reducing food loss also. Rupees 3,103 crore additional expenditure was incurred in 2021 towards supply of additional rations during COVID lockdown of 2020. whereas rupees 754 crore is being spent on additional rations in this year also for months of May and June 2021. So government is saying that 3,103 crores were being provided or spent to the supply of additional rations during COVID lockdown 2020 and 754 in the months of May and June 2021. It is better to know these stats. Now we will move to health and nutrition sector. Under this health and nutrition sector, Dr. YSR Arogyasri scheme we will see. Before moving further, this Dr. YSR Arogyasri scheme is a reputed scheme and even Indian government evinced interest to study this Dr. YSR Arogyasri scheme, and many of the state governments also evinced interest to study the Arogyasri scheme. So it is being largely benefiting the poor families and the people below poverty line. So it is a good program. And in Group 1 Mains exam 2017, there was a question on Dr. YSR Arogyasri scheme. So it is better to have an idea about this scheme because this is very important scheme. So first point is, through the Dr. YSR Arogyasri scheme, the government is providing cashless treatment. You have to emphasize on this cashless treatment to poor and needy patients free of cost where in government and private network hospitals. So it is being provided cashless treatment to poor and needy patients, and it is free of cost, and it is being provided in government and private network hospitals. And another scheme, Dr. YSR Arogya Asara scheme. Through this scheme, the government provides rupees 225 per day as post-operative sustenance allowance to BPL patients as compensation for wage loss and medicines. Many of the patients might not be able to immediately attend their jobs after the treatment. So in order to provide them compensation on their wage loss and medicines, Dr. YSR Arogya Asara scheme is being implemented, and rupees 225 per day is being provided to post-operative sustenance allowance. And government is allocating rupees 2,258.94 crore in 2021-22 for these schemes. Another important program is Nadu Nedu program. The government is according top priority for the implementation of Nadu Nedu program to improve public health care and health infrastructure. So it is being concentrated on public health care and public health infrastructure. Under this program, health sub-centers, public health centers, community health centers, area hospitals, district hospitals, teaching hospitals are being upgraded both in terms of infrastructure and equipment as well as necessary additional human resource. So you have to remember that Nadu Nedu program is a revolutionary program. It is being implemented in health sector and also in education sector. So as far as health sector is concerned, the primary concern of this program is public healthcare and health infrastructure, and under this program some of the aspects are improvement in health centers, public health centers, community health centers, area hospitals, district hospitals and teaching hospitals. And in order to maintain the national level standards of National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers NABH and Indian Public Health Standards IPHS, the Nadu Nedu program is being implemented, and the government is also establishing 16 new medical colleges, and recently there was announcement regarding these 16 new medical colleges. Just follow where these medical colleges are being implemented, and this establishment of 16 new medical colleges and upgrading the existing medical colleges and teaching hospital as per MCI guidelines under Nadu Nedu program. So under Nadu Nedu program, 16 new medical colleges are being established and the existing medical colleges and teaching hospitals are being upgraded. So government is allocating 1,538.55 crore, 1,538.55 crore in 2021-22 for this scheme. Total allocation for health, medical and family welfare is 13,830.44 crore in 2021-22, and this is 21.11% higher than the allocation made in 2020-2021. These allocations are intended to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 3. What is the Sustainable Development Goal 3? Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all and good health. Now we will see gender and children budget. First point, the government has introduced special statement on gender budget and child budget from financial year 2021-22. The government has introduced YSR pre-primary schools in 55,607 Anganwadi centers to lay a foundation for age-appropriate cognitive, social and emotional development along with nutritional supplementation of how many children? 8.7 lakh children in the age group of 3 to 6 years. It is very important program, this YSR pre-primary schools. Why? Because this program is concentrating on the important segment of our society, that is 3 to 6 years. When you target the children at the early age and when you implement the programs for their development, further it will increase the human resource potential of the state and it will provide an opportunity for improved demographic dividend because healthy and intelligent human resource is essential for the development of any country. So because of all these reasons, the implementation of this scheme YSR pre-primary schools, which is targeting age group of 3 to 6 years children, is a very important component of our development perspective. Now this systematic approach for holistic development of children stands as a unique model in the country, as I said earlier, following the directions of new education policy and revised preschool syllabus with the support of SCRT. Now, in order to strengthen the physical infrastructure of Anganwadis, it is proposed to upgrade 16,681 Anganwadis with 9 components. What are those 9 components? Toilets, electricity, kitchen, drinking water, paint, green chalkboard, compound wall, play equipment, water filter. And construct 27,428 new buildings and complete 3,928 buildings over the next 3 years under the Nadu Nedu program. The nitty-gritties of these numbers, that is construction of 27,428 and complete 3,928, they might not be that much important for the group 2 exam, but you have to remember the broad facts about the programs. Now, to address the problem of anemia and malnutrition among the pregnant and lactating mothers and children aged 6 months to 72 months, YSR Sampurna Poshana Plus and YSR Sampurna Poshana scheme is run through the Anganwadi center. These two are also important. Nutritional rich meal, milk and egg is being given on daily basis to all 23.7 lakh children and 6.46 lakh pregnant and lactating women enrolled in 55,607 Anganwadi centers across the state. This initiative is meeting Sustainable Development Goal 2, that is to end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition. So I try to provide some information, additional information regarding YSR Sampurna Poshana Plus and YSR Sampurna Poshana scheme. To address the problem of anemia and malnutrition among the pregnant and lactating mothers and children aged 6 months to 72 months, this number is important, 6 months to 72 months. The scheme was introduced for supplementary nutrition through Anganwadi centers at an annual budget of 1,863.11 crore. Milk and egg are being given on a daily basis to a total to all 23,70,000 children aged 6 months to 72 months and 6,46,000 pregnant and lactating women who are enrolled in the Anganwadis. Now here we will see some table. This table was taken from Socio-Economic Survey of Andhra Pradesh 2020-2021. The coverage of beneficiaries under the YSR Sampurna Poshana, category of beneficiaries YSR Sampurna Poshana plus scheme, YSR Sampurna Poshana scheme and total beneficiaries. Now you see the category of beneficiaries: pregnant and lactating mothers, children aged 6 months to 3 years, that is 72 months, and children aged 3 to 6 years. Here YSR Sampurna Poshana scheme is intended to specifically 17 tribal mandals, whereas YSR Sampurna Poshana is intended for all the mandals except those 77 mandals which are being covered under YSR Sampurna Poshana plus scheme. So these are the numbers related to this program. Just read it once to remember the total beneficiaries. Now, depending upon the above discussion, I have framed a mains practice question. The question reads that, what are the salient features of the Nadu Nedu scheme in health sector? In what way the scheme is going to be beneficial for common people of the state? So, this is the end of part 2 of AP Budget 2021-22. The remaining aspects of the budget we will see in the next lecture. Thank you.